With Esau out hunting and Isaac cloistered in his tent, Jacob sat as the judge of the encampment, arbiter of disputes, dispenser of justice. Clearly the mascot belonged to Nakia, Jacob declared, and a murmur of approval and disappointment arose, which he quelled, waving his hand and shaking his head. And clearly Nakia lost it. The sound renewed, puzzled and louder than ever. Turning to Nakia, he said, "Either you lost it, or it left of its own free will," he said. "Do you insist on having it returned?" She started to speak, but he cautioned her. "Think carefully now." "I do insist," Nakia said. "It belongs to me." "As you wish," Jacob said. And then someone gasped as he knelt in front of little Kesheth, putting his eyes level with hers. "He got lost, little one," he said. Kesheth looked at him, serious, unblinking. "Would you want to go home if you were lost?" He cocked his head, eyebrows raised. Kesheth gave a solemn nod. Holding out the tiny carved bull, he asked, "Will you take him home where he belongs?" Her eyes welled, but her head bobbed once again. "Clever girl," he said, as he closed her hand around the small bone treasure, and motioned her toward the haughty Nakia. Jacob stood and shepherded Kesheth toward her adversary. Kesheth held the disputed carving out to Nakia. The older girl made as if to speak, but a glance at Jacob convinced her to remain silent, so she snatched the tiny carving and said nothing. He held up his hand, and the already quiet crowd grew silent. He knelt again in front of little Kesheth. "And for you, little one," he pulled his left hand from behind him, waved it closed before her, then produced a single copper shekel. "Because you helped the little lost one return home," he said, folding her hand around the precious coin. Nakia began to protest, but Jacob silenced her. "Had you not insisted she return the mascot, the shekel would have been yours. You have no cause for complaint. You received what you chose." The crowd inhaled the sound like a wave retreating from the shore, which returned as a sudden flow of applause and shouting moving through the assembly. "How wise is Jacob," the men said. "Our master is more than just," said the women. "He is merciful and generous." Their eyes shone and their voices carried to the edge of the camp, where they assaulted the ears of an empty-handed Esau returning from another unsuccessful hunt. If you'd like to hear more about how Esau and Jacob grew up in their relationship, you can find it in Torn, Jacob's Story. You can find it at Amazon.com or at your local Adventist Book Center. And if you'd like me to come to speak as Jacob or about Jacob, you can contact me at this email address. Thanks for listening.